Hello, everyone. I just want to make a video sermon this morning. Brother there, you still making those video sermons? Yeah, I'm still getting people that comment and let me know that they're helping them, and I get some requests from time to time. And today, I'm going to be in 1 Corinthians 7:13 through 16, maybe something like that. And there's people that one of the mates go to church, the other one don't, and that kind of thing. And maybe the man goes to church and the woman don't, or vice versa. The woman goes to church and the man don't. So I'm going to be in 1 Corinthians 7:13 through 16 in the King James Version of the Bible to start off with. And it says, "And the woman which hath a husband that believeth not, and if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him. For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Else were your children unclean, but now are they holy. But if an unbelieving depart, let him depart. Our brother or sister is not under bondage in such cases, but God hath called us to peace. For what knowest thou, O wife, whether thou shalt save thy husband? Or how knowest thou, O man, whether thou shalt save thy wife?" I might have could have used a different scripture, and I'm going to read a few more as we go along. But we're talking about trying to win your mate over to the Lord, and I'm going to read it a little bit more and then go on. Likewise, wives. This is 1 Peter 3:1 through 6, King James Version of the Bible. "Likewise, wives, being subject to your own husbands, that if any obey not the word, they also may be without the word, be won by the conversation of the wives, while they behold your chaste conversation coupled with fear. Whose adorning, let it not be the outward adorn of the plaiting of the hair, wearing of gold, or putting on the apparel." That's not what drew me to the Lord. "But let it be the hidden man of the heart, in which is not corruptible, even the ornament of a meek and quiet spirit, which is in the sight of God a great price. For after this manner in the old time, the holy women also, who trusted in God, adorned themselves, men in subjection unto their own husbands, even as Sara obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, whose daughters you are, as long as you do well and not afraid with any amazement." I'm going to read Ephesians 5:22 through 33, and then maybe I'll be through and get on with it. But it says, "Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands, as unto the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is head of the church, and he's the Savior of the body. Therefore, as the church is subject unto Christ, let their wives be to their husbands in everything. Husbands, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for her." That's a lot of love. "That he may sanctify it and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word." If you don't do it that way, you may have a little stink going on. "That he may present it to himself a glorious church, not having spot or wrinkle, nor any such thing, but that it should be holy and without blemish. So ought men to love their wives as their own body. He that loveth his wife loveth himself. For no man yet ever hated his own flesh, but nourished it and cherished it, even as the Lord of the church. For we are members of his body, of his flesh, of his bones. For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall be joined unto his wife, and they two shall be one flesh. This is a great mystery, but I speak concerning Christ in the church. Nevertheless, let every one of you in particular so love his wife, even as himself, and the wife see that she reverence her husband." I have a little bit of experience in this area, because Melinda had salvation 7 years before I did, and she went to church by herself. And in God's mathematics is different than man's mathematics. In man's mathematics, 1 plus 1 is 2. In God's mathematics, 1 plus 1 is 1. When a man and a woman married, they're 2, and when they married, they're 1. So it's only in God's mathematics that this can be true. People say marriage is 50-50. Not in my opinion. I'm like Brother Billy Parker, I think, was the one that I heard said it's 100-100. There's a communication gap between a man and a wife oftentimes. They speak different languages, a man and a woman. A man's language is he wants respect, because at the end of that I read it said, see that she reverence her husband. And then a woman's language is love. It said husbands love your wife as Christ did the church, and that sort of thing. So she's speaking love and he's speaking respect. Maybe the wife don't respect the husband, but he still got to love her. He may say, when she respects me, I'm going to love her. And she may be saying, when he loves me, I'm going to respect him. Somebody's got to be the first one, to put their foot forward. Some man is going to have to love his wife even when she don't respect him. And some woman is going to have to love her husband, respect her husband, even when he doesn't love her in the way she thinks he ought to. We have, talking about a communication gap, we have in our church a brother, he speaks English. He may speak a little Spanish. I don't know. I've never seen evidence of it. But the woman speaks Spanish and English. Now, if he talked to her in English and she answered him in Spanish, we got a communication gap. So if the man speaks in respect terms and she answers him in love terms, we probably got a communication gap. The reason I feel qualified to talk about this subject is I've been there. My wife went to church 7 years before I did. I would come home on the job I had. I worked at nights. I was selling, and I would take off on Wednesday nights so she could go to church. I'd keep the kids. A little boy about 7, little girl about 5, something like that. So I did that for her, but she just kept on keeping on. And Samuel, Hannah and she wanted Samuel's mother. You don't have to be ugly in a marriage to cause problems. You can just be bland. There you are, and you're sitting here, and your wife comes in the door, and you just act like it no big deal. You need to act like a big deal over her. You did it one time, and being bland is not good. So, but I thought about the woman that thought she wanted a divorce, and she went to a professional. I don't know if he was a psychiatrist, marriage counselor. I can't remember the story, but she told him, she said, I don't love my husband anymore, and I want to divorce him. And he said, well, we can do that. And she said, but I don't want to just divorce him. I want to hurt him. I want to hurt him real bad. And so he said, well, okay. He said, I'll tell you what, let's do. If you want to do that, if you want to divorce him and you want to hurt him real bad, you act like you love him. And she said, I don't love him. And he said, you act like you do. And you make it look real. And you get him to loving you even more. And then you drop the bomb on him and tell him you want a divorce. And she said, oh, yeah, I like that idea. He said, 30 days, we'll get back together and we'll get the divorce. So he didn't hear from her in 30 days. So he called her. He said, hey, what about that divorce? She said, divorce? Are you crazy? I love him. So maybe if you don't think you love your wife, or your wife, you don't think you love your husband, just act like it for a little bit, and it might turn out to be real. When I heard a story, I'm going to read it because when I got married, my grandmother told me a shocking piece of advice. She said marriage is not 90-10 or 50-50. For some reason, I didn't understand that at the time. It's 100. Thankfully, I listened to her. The patient's family gathered to hear what the specialist had to say and said, things don't look good. The only change is a brain transplant. And this is an experimental procedure. It might work, but the bad news, the brains are expensive and you'll have to pay the cost yourself. How much does a brain cost? The relatives asked. For a male brain, $500,000. For a female brain, $200,000. Some of the younger male relatives tried to look shocked, but the men nodded in understanding, and a few actually smirked. Then the patient's daughter asked, what's the difference in the price between male brains and female brains? A standard pricing procedure, said the head of the team. Women's brains have to be marked down because they're used. Sorry, brothers. I'm just reading it. It said Sir Winston Churchill once asked Lady Astor to the point that she angrily retorted, if I were your wife, I'd give you arsenic to drink. Churchill calmly responded, and if I were your husband, I'd gladly drink it. Marriage should be a duet. When one sings, the other claps. A happy marriage is a union between two good forgivers. Brother David Jones told my wife, Brother David Jones, I bring him up a lot, but and two more sisters, that if they would work for the Lord, he would bring their husbands in. He didn't say might. He went out on a limb, and it worked. It absolutely worked. They worked when it was a big crowd, when it was a small crowd, when it was a regular meeting, when they worked when they felt like it, when they didn't feel like it. That's what you got to do. And I had my arm in a sling, and I told our church, I said, I don't like complicated rules, and the rules are working this. Work when you feel like it. Work when you don't feel like it. Work when there's a crowd. Work when it's not a crowd. Work when your arm's in a sling. Work when your arm's not in a sling. And I had my shoulder operated on, and I had a sling for 6 weeks. I preached right on. And it was my right arm, and I'm right-handed. So, you can't undo I do. How long have you been happily married? I've been married 52 years. Can I say I've been happily married 52 years? We've had a bump or two. But, you can't undo I do. And I've performed the ceremony for many people. And you can say more, and they don't last long. A wedding don't last long. 20 or 30 minutes would be pretty long. But you can say more in 30 minutes than you can get done in 30 years. So I've enjoyed getting this to you. I've been giving my phone number out, 256-508-4410. Text or call me if you need me. I might not get back to you right away, but I'll get back to you. May God bless you. I hope it's helped you, especially the one that said something about doing this. And if this didn't, I'll try again because I want to help you.